Welcome to the 12th episode of our podcast. This is the last episode of the first season. In this episode, I'm joined by six very special guests with whom I will reflect on the past 5 years of Ostrava Expat Center. Together, we will talk about how much we've grown and how much we've helped the expat community living in the Moravian Silesian region. This is Expat Episodes, where new stories begin. I'm Martin, your host, and I'll be guiding you through the stories of expats in the Czech Republic. And with that, I would like to invite the heart and soul of the Ostrava Expat Center, Alena Danielova. She will be joined by Vendula Margaretis Rechova, the brain of the brand that we have. It's arguably the most recognizable and functioning brand. So girls, welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Alcho, I would like to ask you, since you're the heart and soul of Ostrava Expat Center, what was your 5 year journey like?
5 year. For me, it's like 1 year because it was a really fast journey with great people, a wonderful team, and with a lot of new stories of expats.
So, how or why did it start, the Ostrava Expat Center?
I think it's already really 5 years ago when we with Vendula, Ondra Dostal and Anton Husovsky started thinking about the Expat Center in Moravian Silesian Innovation Center, and we had the first workshop about brand, about target groups. So we started with a really small team, and it's perfect that for quite 5 years. We are all the time together and try to increase our service.
Yeah, it was very funny after this workshop because I was maybe about 2 or 3 days after my mini MBA in brand management. I need to find some clients to improve my theoretical skills to the pracs. And Ondra called me, hey, we need the new brand for the Ostrava Expat Center or something like that. I say, hey, okay, we can do it. So
we had only the first experience.
yeah, it was
you.
it was you and Mappa. Yeah, it was the first client after or my degree. So yeah.
What did you learn working for Ostrava Expat Center Vende? Was there like something that really differs from the theory that you learned in the mini MBA and the practice?
Yeah, it was really different because the theory was established like theoretical things for the brand managers who wants to work for the not public but the
Private sector?
yeah, private sector. And I try to do it the same thing for the public. And for the theoretical levels you can learn in the course. It's really hard to change the mind to the public because you don't sell something. You can't set up the price, etc. You need to be with touch with your customer in the another level. And if it's a public service, you need to be very attractive for the customer. So and the customer was the expat. So I need to do the work in English. And you see, my English is not that good, so it was really hard for me. But I really enjoy.
This is funny because you've got education in B2B basically, and you work in G2C, right?
You know, it was maybe more funny because I have the education in B2C and the pracs in B2B. Because I finished in the B2B company in the end of the 2019, and then I'm going to G2C. So yeah, I'm multifunctional marketer, maybe something like that. Yeah, but the principles is the same.
So how did the visuals evolve? Like, how were they looking in the beginning?
Very much. You remember the eye, the first visual of the logo?
Yeah. True is that the second variant of the logo, it's this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the second variant, the logo, and we keeps it because I'm that person who try to find a way how to improve in another visual ways, not in the logo, because the logo is the most important brand code for each brand, and it's not necessary to change it if it makes sense. So it means our way was not that clear, like for example in Mappa, because we set up in the beginning and it function all the time. it's 5 years too. And the expat center, there was the really huge improving how to create the brand for the expats especially. So it means maybe in the middle, maybe after 2 or 2.5 years, we hire the illustrator Elena. It's a part of our team, and she created really great avatars for us. You can see here behind me. So this was the first touch. Hey, we can do it a little bit different, but little more crazy, because it's for expats and the target group is more important thing when you would like to set up the brand.
So what does the logo mean exactly? It's like a knot.
Could be not, but it's not that clever thing like not, but it's X, like expat, X here. And because the Ostrava has the exclamation mark, we tried to mix it. And because Ostrava have 3, so we have the 4. So
Amazing, very creative.
yeah, and the colors, we try to keep the Ostrava colors because it's one of the brand codes of the brand, and it's necessary to keep it. So
Yeah, I wanted to mention the logo because I've worked in Ostrava Expat Center for 2 years and I didn't know that it's from Ostrava from the exclamation
it's not my
mark.
fault anymore.
But Alcho, I would like to ask you now about some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you were creating the Ostrava Expat Center, because it's like in Ostrava there's not that many foreigners and there are other organizations that maybe take care of them. So what challenges did you face?
The most important thing was to find the partners for our service and say to Town Hall or City of Ostrava, the regional office, and for a Center for Integration Foreigners that we want to be part of the ecosystem of service for expats, and we really didn't want to take over some different service from different organization. So strong partnership with the organization who are able to provide the service in English. So this was the most important thing for us.
And maybe also the location, because right now
we changed once the location. True is that we started as a pilot project 5 years ago, and only City of Ostrava supported us with this idea, and we had only 1 year to declare that our service is necessary provide here in Ostrava. And
it's your work.
Thank you. We started in a very cool place on Českobratrska Street, and
what do you say, cool?
Cool.
Okay,
it was cool.
Okay.
Really.
like cool, like
No. Sometimes. Yeah. In the summer, it was a really hot place, but in the winter, very cold place. But because we started with nothing, so it was as a magnet for people with open heart, and they offer us the stuff as a chairs, as a microwave, everything what you need for fulfilling the office. So we were a great example, I think, for circular economy in the Ostrava. And after 1 year, we knew that this place is not the best for our service, and we started find something else. And now we are really proud that on Tiršova we have so visible and great place for events, for the consultancies, for meetings. So we are very happy here now.
Amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. Back to you, Vende. I would like to ask you, if Ostrava Expat Center was a person, how would you describe their personality?
So I think a bit about this question, but I think for me, the Expat Center is the kind of the person you met when you arrived somewhere for the first time, and after 5 years, it's your best friend.
Well, it takes that long to be best friends, 5 years, really?
It's not to be like after 5 years it's best friend, but if we talk about the journey and the relationship, because you need to, it's in the brand too, and in the all the relationship you want to create in your life, it's about some long time activity to improve the relationship. So it means when you before 5 years you met someone who you see for the first time, or so the first time, after 5 years it could be your best friend, but it could be your best friend after one day, it could be your best friend after 1 year, or after 5 years, I don't know. But now it's my best friend, and I think for all the expats it's the best friend.
Yeah, I guess this also translates to our like office culture. We're really like a group of friends, not really coworkers, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the description of the friends environment in here in Expat Center is the great, because in the relationship in the work you have some the formal relationship and some rules, etc. But sometimes I think in the Expat Center doesn't work any rules, but in the positive way. Not hey, sorry, not. But Alena is the really best, and she's the best HR manager. Maybe yeah, maybe that's the reason why we can be the friends, because they or she needs to manage little kind of animals. So yeah, but I think that's the point why the environment here is that environment the expats loves. So yeah, we are friend here, and we can be because Alena is here. It's like our.
I'm sorry, I have to say that it's not without the rules, because our biggest rule and our vision is to offer really friendly services, and this is the main important thing. So
Main attribute for our
yes.
brand. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Alcho, looking back, what milestones or what are you most proud of as the mom of Ostrava Expat Center? Like when it comes to our provided services or things that we have done in those 5 years.
Thank you for this question. I want to really follow the Vendula's words, because the most important things it's our team, very professional. Each member has their own role. Wendy, you, Tereza Milatová, Tereza Novotná, Tony Husovský, Hajzi Práková, Ellen. Everybody is very important with our interns, and true is that our team in this structure is functional for more than 3 years, I think. Maybe you are the Benjamin of our team. And so it's the biggest milestone for us. And the second big milestone is to be not only project, but we are not now the unit of Moravian Silesian Innovation Center. As a department, we have some independency, which are focused on expats, so is second. And the third we spoke about is our new place. Every year is different in Ostrava Expat Center, because every year we want to start with a new agenda, not only service. And 2024 is a podcast here, so I am really proud of it.
I'm really happy to hear that. From all the names that you've mentioned, I can spoil or foreshadow that some of the people will appear on this podcast today. So look forward to it. Alcho, in the past 5 years, you've met many expats, you've heard many life stories, you've heard many dreams. Do you have any tips for expats that are coming to Czech Republic or living here?
Come to Ostrava, spend 1 to 3 days here, join us, and you will really sure that Ostrava is a good place for living, and we can support everybody to start the new life history, new life maybe no history, but a new future in Ostrava.
Because it's the city where new stories begin.
Yes, yes.
Beautifully said. So yeah, with that, I would like to ask you guys a mini quick big rubric question. To you, Wendy, it will be, what is your hidden gem in Ostrava?
Okay, I need to say I'm the person who are going to the car driving if I need some time for me. I spend my me time in the car, but the last year for me was the year of the Ostrava Expat Center, because when I was sad, when I was in the rush, when I don't have the time or the place at home to be in quiet and work for something deeper, I go there and be there. And also, if I would like to catch some energy and improve my mood somehow, I go there to the event and be happy because the person or the people who are there is really energizing for me. And I would like to say my hidden gem is definitely Expat Center for this year.
We can really appreciate that. And about the events that you mentioned, we will learn more about that in a couple of seconds. But before we proceed with that, I have one question for Alena, and that is, if a song or a movie was to describe your life in Ostrava or this region, which one would it be?
I like the Czech movie Postřeženy, and sometimes I am as the boss of the factory because all the time I think that somebody want to tell me, pane správče, musíte se více snažit. But it's not, to není zajímavé pro expaty.
I think that is really interesting for expats because you just have so much on your plate, pane správče, so
Pane
it's like
správče, musíte se více snažit.
yeah, I don't think anybody would ever tell you that because you work late and you do your best to cut yourself up in like million pieces to help others. For example, even with this episode, I called you last minute to join us, and I really appreciate you that you joined me. So thank you for that, and also thank you, Wendy, for joining me and for speaking about the Ostrava Expat Center brand. And with that, we can move to the next segment. Cheers, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I would like to invite a duo that is responsible for our social media and the community around Ostrava Expat Center, Tereza Milátová and Heidi Praková. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Cheers. So, Heidi, let me start with you. I would like to ask you, how long have you been with the Ostrava Expat Center team?
I've been here since the early beginning. I started maybe a couple of months after the Expat Center was established, and it's been almost 5 years now.
So, how has been the social media right? Because I assume you've been managing them since the beginning?
No, not really. Actually, Terka here was the media communication manager before, and when I started my journey at the Ostrava Expat Center, I was event manager, and I was maybe helping Teresa a little bit because it's not work for only one person. Sometimes it's too much. And after this year, actually, we exchanged roles officially. So now I am in charge of communication, not only social media, but also our newsletter, website, and general communication.
I see. So, Terko, you've been also with the Ostrava Expat Center since the beginning?
Yeah, I would say I was with Expat Center since like very beginning. I started when our doors were open, like 1st of March 2020. And how Hazy said, like I was the social manager and she was the event manager, but we were like actually from the very beginning helping each other because I was like doing some events or when the girls needed to have help. So we did like both, I would say.
I see. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, we were always working together in a way. So.
Amazing, yeah, because I guess that also like managing the community and events and social media, it's like, it goes hand in hand because you need to promote it, cooperate on it and things. So speaking of this, which is your favorite event of all time, in Ostrava Expat Center?
Ooh,
Hard
it's
one.
interesting. Like, well, I will start because from the very beginning I'm like leading the outdoor club. So I would say it's my natural place because I love mountains. So this might be the my favorite event. So yeah.
Can I say my favorite too?
Definitely.
I love the Welcome to Ostrava because as an expat, I've never, nobody ever welcomed me anywhere, let's say. And I think it's a great initiative from Ostrava Expat Center to welcome everyone. And I can imagine, and the feedback we have is that the expats love to be pampered and welcomed and being explained about everything which is happening here. I think it's my favorite, even though I don't need to be welcomed anymore. I live here for 13 years now. I think it's great for the expats who are coming now.
I see, for 13 years, yeah?
Yes.
So how was it for you? Because you're an expat yourself, Heidi. You're from Brazil, right? So how was it to learn Czech and integrate into, the Czech society?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm completely integrated after this 13 years yet. My colleagues know that I can speak a little bit of Czech. Yeah, I can. It was not easy. It's a very different language coming from being a Brazilian, speaking Brazilian Portuguese to learn Czech, which is a Slavic language, completely different. And I would say that I still have so much to learn, but I can communicate a little bit. I can speak to my kids' teachers, and they really try to help me and understand me. And I have my amazing colleagues who are really keeping the English language to make me feel more comfortable, and I really appreciate that. But I live in a bubble, and my bubble is very supportive. So I think it's not easy all the time, but I think I can say that I'm somehow adjusted here. And yeah, with the Czech language, it was because of the challenge. I knew that not only for me, but for other expats too, would be complicated. So that's why for the almost 2.5 years now, Ostrava Expat Center offers courses for expats. We teach mostly A1 and A2, and it's another way that Expat Center can support expats to adjust here and to successful relocate. So maybe I understand the importance of learning Czech in a friendly environment. So.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you saying this because not everybody, when they come here, they don't have this supportive bubble around them. So I guess that joining the course is a really good start to not only learn the language, but also meet the local and the expat community.
Exactly. And already starting making some friends, which is very important for relocation. Yeah.
Speaking of the communities here, Terko, which or what communities do we have in Ostrava?
Well, I think that we have like organically many communities here. How I told you, we start with like community events, and I would say that we have like women community because we have like women club which goes like every month. Also the community of musicians because we have like a music club every month. And also I have to tell that we have very big community of Indians. Like since very beginning, we do like very big event, Indian night, where you can like meet over 100 Indians. So I would say like that.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've had this huge community from like the start of.
That's right. That's right. The first Indian night was in September 2020, and we have like over 100 participants.
Wow.
And we've been doing this event every year ever since. So yeah, it's great.
So would you say that this is the biggest event that Ostrava Expat Center organizes, or?
Definitely not, because since this first year we managed two more, like I would say, huge events. Last year we started with like expats and locals, which is very nice event which wants to connect locals and expats together. Also, like the name is, it runs like for 2 months in Futureum in Lower Vítkovice, and it's like venue when expats and locals like artists or today this year foodies can exhibit their art. So this is like a huge event. We had already like 2 years behind us, and we are planning the third next year. And this year we did our first job fair venue, I would say. And I think that it was also very, very big step for Ostrava Expat Center.
The work and life event.
Work and life event, yes, because it's like um, for people not only who already lives here, but we would like to attract talents from borders or from another cities, and we can offer we can not the offer, but we can show them that there is a lot of working opportunities, and actually Moravian Silesian region is very nice to live.
I see. That's amazing to hear and to know, because it can be really hard for some expats to not only find their bubble, but also to find work opportunities and things like this. Heisi, I would like to ask you if or how was it to grow the social media in this region? Because we don't get that many expats. So how are the beginnings like?
I think when I took over the Instagram, we had maybe less than 70 followers. And today, if you check our Instagram, for example, I think we will have maybe over 1,500 by this time. And I would say that we have many expats following, but we also have a lot of locals, which is interesting because people who probably are interested in having contact with the expat community, people who lived abroad, and then when they come back, they want to have some touch with internationals. So it's one step by time. It requires a team effort because you need to know what's happening with the other teams and what they are doing together. So I think for me it's a joy because I see that this is the best way for people to find out about the events is on the stories, or someone says like, oh, I didn't know that was going to be today, but thanks to the stories I remembered, so thank you for that. They are giving us a nice feedback, and Terka did a really good job with the Facebook, which is the platform where we release all our events and more information and more not only about events, but also information that is considered relevant for expats. So yeah, it's been a journey, nice one.
What I can really appreciate about this all is that we have events that are, focused on professionals and also events focused on community building. And from what you've been saying, Terka, it sounds like the events are very frequent, right?
Yeah, I would say like we have around like approximately 4 events per month, about something like that. Like because we have regular events, how I mentioned already, like women club, music club is every month. Outdoor club, it's usually like every second month, and between then we have like professional events like workshops. Also, the welcome to Ostrava is like twice a year, and we have like 2 huge events per year. Plus another big events like Ostrava Expat Center birthday party and Indian night, and in next year we are planning also Korean day or night, so it will be also very good new experience with a new community.
That's great. So the communities are ever growing, right? We know that we have established a Indian community that's very strong and big, and now there's like the seeds or a beginning of new Korean community. So that's great. What I want to ask you about is the funniest or the most surprising story from an event.
I think that all like community events are very like full of joy. I don't remember any like super funny situation, but I would say the most surprising thing for us was in 2020, the Indian night, that we had like over 100 participants, which was like very surprise for us, and it was a huge success for Ostrava Expat Center.
Like that, yeah, like you didn't expect to get that many people.
Yes,
Yeah?
because can you imagine it was like in the like COVID wave? Because when we started to have the events, we had to immediately start online because it was March 2020. And during the summertime was a little bit releasing these restrictions. So in September, we did like offline Indian night with 100 participants, which was like a huge success, a huge surprise. We didn't expect that.
I see. Heisi, back to you. have you ever, because you manage the communication together with Terka, but now you've officially switched the roles. Do you have any cultural misunderstandings with your posts ever?
No.
No?
I think not. As per the language itself, it is sometimes we can have some words that are different, very different in Portuguese and Czech, but not in the post. Oh my God, thank you, God, that never happened. But yes, I think for that I'm safe. I don't have any problems with that. Yeah.
That sounds good. And yeah, with that, guys, I'd like to ask you one last question for our mini quick pick rubric. To Terka, I will ask, what's your tip for a trip to Ostrava or Třinec, where you are from?
Well, thank you for this question because I was born and raised in Ostrava, but since I was 24, I don't live here anymore. And now I'm settled down in Třinec. So I would like to invite expats over borders Ostrava because whole Moravian Silesian region it's worth to visit. And how I said, I'm mountain lover, but a lot of people knows like Lisa Hora, Čeladná, Ostravice. So I would like to send them to Silesian Beskydy Mountains, for example, to Velká Čartoria or Javorový vrch, and then to finish this trip in the best ice cream place, Kopečkova in Třinec.
Amazing.
It's great. Thanks to Terka, I also know about Kopečkova, so
I think the whole team knows about Kopečkova.
that's why I took a trip to Třinec to just have ice cream.
Heidi, to you, since you're an expat who's been living here for 13 years, what makes you want to call Ostrava your home?
Hey, my work, Ostrava Expat Center, plays essential and crucial role in my life because in this city I built my family, I built some community around me, I have my friends, but it's thanks to the Expat Center, and it's about receiving an opportunity. I received the great one and I can give back. I think through our work we all give back to Ostrava and we all contribute somehow to Ostrava's goal, which is being more cosmopolitan, which is to be more welcome to expats, and it fills me with purpose. So my work and my family are the reason why I call Ostrava my home.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was really pleasant. It's great to learn something more about our community, social media, and how things have been evolving. So yeah, I raise a toast to that, and Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year!
So as the first duo, I've introduced the heart and soul of the Ostrava Expat Center. Now I would like to introduce the brains of the Ostrava Expat Center. Please meet Tony Husovský, and together with him, I'm also inviting Ondřej Dostal, the person who is our connection between Ostrava Expat Center and the Ostrava City Authority. Welcome, guys. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So Tony, let me start with you. What inspired you to work with expats? Because you're an expat yourself, so.
So it all started at my university studies. I was part of the Erasmus Student Network, student organization that was helping foreigners. So it was sort of a logical step to help to follow with helping foreigners as a job. So that's what was inspiring me to help with Expat Center.
I see. That's great. Ondro, what about you and your work at the Ostrava City Authority? What exactly do you do there, and why was Ostrava Expat Center born?
I work at the Strategic Development Department at the City Hall, and at the department we do a lot of stuff. The strategic projects, the big projects of the city, the attracting investors, the dealing with communities, international projects, the marketing of the city, and so on. So this is the part, or this is the activities how we make, or how we're trying to make the quality of life for inhabitants better for tomorrow than it was yesterday, to make it short. And in our unit, we do international projects and the strategic development plan of the city, which says that Ostrava should attract young, talented, hardworking people and retain talented people in the city. So this is the main vision of the city, and Ostrava Expo Center is definitely one of the flagship projects because it's fulfilling this vision already. And it started like 6-7 years ago in one international project when we have partners like Bilbao, Frankfurt, Torino, these cities, and we started to deal with the topic of talent attraction management for the first time in the city. And we created action plan with a lot of projects, and one of this was the flagship project with Expo Center. So this was the start when we know that we need to establish some kind of organization like this, as the other cities have, and that was the scratch. From that we start to build the organization.
Okay, so how has the talent attraction has been going? Is it going well, would you say?
Yeah, I think definitely. It definitely takes a long time to see the relevant, or I mean like big results or great numbers. But still we have the numbers of the strategic plan when we see that more people is coming to the city, and I mean moving to the Ostrava or to the region that it used to be for like 10 years ago. So it definitely goes better, but we want to make it more, of course. But other thing is to deal with the expats and foreigners here on the spot in the city or in the region. And this is, from my point of view, what Expat Center is doing, which means to support communities, to combine or to involving people like Ostrava people together with expats and helping the expats, which means that they like the city more, they are ambassadors of the city, and you make it easier for them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for saying that and giving some context to it. So in the last duo, we've had Heisi and Teresa, which are responsible for maintaining our community. Right now, I have the perfect opportunity to ask Tony. You know, who's the guy who helps answer all of the questions and helps with relocation and soft landing. If there is any particular process that you think that expats find the most confusing.
Well, I think it's not about the single process, but in general, everything which is not in language that you understand might be a problem for you. But I think that the most challenging is managing residence permit or visa with the Ministry of Interior, because this is something that most of the expats are in touch with. So this is something that they're all familiar. And I think one thing that everyone is sort of confused is that every time they're applying for residence permit, they need to provide a copy of all documents and again, and they need to visit a checkpoint for verified copies, even though you are delivering the same document every year. So this is something that seems a little bit unlogical.
I see. And you mentioned something about the language. Is it because the official language of Czech Republic is Czech, and you know the
Definitely. However, it's getting, I think, better and better for the international, because many forms, many instructions and a governmental website are newly in English language. So I think it makes it's more comfortable for foreigners to fill the form themselves without using a translator or a Czech buddy.
right. That's the new portal, right? The
Yes.
Informační portál pro cizince FRS.gov. Yeah.
Yes. This is the new website, and it's actually not only in Czech and English, but in Ukrainian language, which is also nice. I see that this portal, out of the fact that it has a lot of information, is also very user friendly. So
Yeah, it basically guides you step by step, right? Yeah, that's good. So you've helped a lot of expats over the past 5 years. Is there like any particular case that you still remember and you feel proud about, or you know?
yes, one it was about the Czech bird number. There was one couple, both are foreigners, and they was buying a house. They was applying for mortgage, but for the mortgage, both of the both in a couple needs a Checkbird number, but only one person have it and the second one was waiting for it. And sometimes it takes months to get it, but they already choose a house, they already find a bank, they have like mortgage ready, but they only needed this 10-digit number. And it was very dramatic because we was arguing the Ministry of Interior, and they receive it on Thursday morning here in Ostrava, and the same day they was signing mortgage, like few hours later, because the one who was selling the house was about to sell it to someone else. So they was really crying, like they make it in the very last minute.
I see. Because if they didn't get it the Thursday morning from the Ministry of Interior, right, that they
will
wouldn't
sell
get the house.
to someone else.
Yeah.
Antonio was very motivated because he was afraid they will sleep at your place. No?
Yeah, sort of. No, but I mean, this was something. This was a real struggle. So if some other expats are considering to go for a mortgage, please apply for a Checkbird number months ago, so you will be relaxed.
Yeah, in timely manner, I guess, right? Because this is something that we also struggle with, right? That people, keep or expats keep everything for last minute, which is not really advisable.
Yes, and especially in this Christmas time when the offices are closing, and if the deadline is 31st of December, then there is only few working days left. So yeah, it will be really nice if all the foreigners would make like a reminder in calendar, like 3 months before the current residence permit will expire. So it will just warn them, like, please start to obtaining documents and solving the issue.
There is no mañana in December.
So Ondro, now I will ask you, because I know that the strategic planning department of Ostrava really works with people, and you guys really care, and I think that's something that sets you apart out of all of Czech Republic. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from expats directly that was most surprising or most valuable to you?
I remember few interesting information from establishing Expat Center and from creating a strategic plan. I was, for example, surprised when we asked expats living in Ostrava for comparing with some ideas, the claims that Ostrava people have, that, for example, they see no such a problem with air quality and with transport. I mean, how to get from the airport around the world, because which I want to say that we as Ostrava people or people in the region see a lot of problems, but we expect that expats will see the same, but they see sometimes differently, which means that, for example, if they come from the big cities, from India, China, they have totally different level of pollution that we have here. So from there, it's totally clean air. And the same with the transport or how to get to other big cities around Europe. Europe is quite small from their point of view, and they don't see such a big problem that Ostrava has not such a busy airport, because from them 3 hours traveling to Prague or to Wien, or 1 hour to Katowice or 2 hours to Krakow, it's still comfortable and very easy. So that was some kind of eye-opener for me to see it from the bigger perspective. And for example, when we created a strategic plan, there was the 3 topics that Ostrava people see very critically. The expats don't see such bad. It means, like, for example, the cleanliness of public space. So I think we are very strict, and which is good, and we push inhabitants push us to make it, for example, clearer, nicer city. But when you compare it with other cities around the world, we are doing quite good job, I think.
From what you are saying, or can I just assume that if there could be one thing that Ostrava could be known for globally, is it's a place in the heart of Europe where everything is close and connected? Or what do you think that Ostrava should be known for globally?
That's one of definitely the advantages the foreigners like on the Ostrava, but Central Europe in general. Other things are, for example, is not answer the question, but still the expats firstly see or check the Czechia and Czech Republic, which means we are one of the safest country, you know, with great health system and great education system. So this is the decision-making process they definitely do. And if for something Ostrava should be known globally, I think it should be how we deal with the industrial heritage and how we change the past to the future, which is not usual. And I think Ostrava is doing a great job. And I think it could be interesting for a lot of expats because it's special comparing with other medieval long, you know, cities with castle. Other people's some people like, for example, this part of industrial heritage and this changing it as Dolní Vítkovice area. So this is the flagship project we definitely should be known for.
Do you agree, Tony, or what's your perspective on this?
Well, I definitely agree, and I want to add, as he was asking, what's something that Ondra was surprised of. So I have also one example, because many Czechs and many foreigners are complaining about the level of bureaucracy in the Czech administrations. However, many clients from the Western Europe, especially from Germany, are telling me like, Tony, this is nothing. It's totally different level of bureaucracy in Germany. So yeah, this was like eye opener for me that also some countries in Western Europe has everything more complicated, and for example, they don't have forms, they don't have an email to write. You only have to send an envelope as a physical letter. So at least that was some
surprising for me.
Points for our bureaucracy system.
This is really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this, because even I didn't know that. Right, to me it's Czech bureaucracy and the fact that they cannot speak English, which can be also very hard for some expats. Is there a question you wish expats asked more?
Well, I will be grateful if they will be generally asking for advices and information. In the situations that they are coming to our center asking for an information, but they are only telling us a part of the story, and sometimes it makes a problem because we provide them information, they are going to solve it, but then they forgot or didn't mention something important to us, and then they will not solve it because they said hold the story to the officer, and they found out that there is something that they have a wrong form, or they miss some document or something. So
yeah, because I guess it's in the small details, right? I remember us having those cases.
All details matter. I'm trying my best to ask as many questions as possible when managing with clients. But yeah, I hope that they will trust us more, and they will tell us the all information that we need to know for solving and for providing information.
Yeah, I guess this is also something that can be sensitive for them, to give us their whole life story. But it's really important, right? Because there are different bilateral agreements and third country residents or European residents. So there's a lot of differences.
Definitely. Yes, sometimes the clients are surprised that we are asking questions that are not directly related, but everything matters and all informations are important, including informations about their husband, about some previous employment or some previous residence in other European countries. So everything's matter.
So aside from being made or created by the Ostrava City Authority in support of the Moravian Silesian region, do we have any, are we members of any associations or international organizations that can help boost our credibility in this?
Yes, and actually we were founding members. 2 years ago we created Association of Immigration Advisors. So this is associations where not only NGOs but also like commercial companies are joined. And this is actually a platform that helps us to keep updated, because there are many changes in the law and in the practice of the relevant offices. So this is a platform where we can meet, we can share, we can complain, but mostly it helps us to learn from others. I don't want to say mistakes, but from the other experiences. And sometimes we are arguing, like, if they solve it in Brno this way, why they cannot solve it in Ostrava in the same way. So this is mainly the association for to share, to keep us updated. And very important, we are also trying to be a voice on the governmental level when there is a discussion over the change of the law in the fields of foreigners matters. So we are trying to be the one that are providing notes to the legislation, and to make the processes more simple, not to complicate them even more.
Okay, amazing. Because this is something. Sorry, Ondra, I will get back to you really.
No, but this is very important.
Yeah.
Interesting to hear that as well.
Yeah, because you said that you complain within the association. Would you say that it has direct impact on the Ministry of Interior, or at the very least some impact?
Well, it has some impact. It's not about that we are complaining among each other. We are complaining by official requests and by official letters. So yeah, sometimes the real situation bring us to the situations that even the Ministry of Interior were not familiar with. So it's nice to have a formal way how to complain, or how to let them explain how we can solve it.
Amazing. So, Ondra, really fast, what do you think that sets Ostrava apart as a destination for international professionals?
I think that's the topic I already mentioned. I'm not sure if expats or foreigners, not a lot of them choose Ostrava for the first, because we do a lot of great stuff here, but we need to promote it more behind the borders, and it's really hard. We are quite small city in the global aspect, you know. So the Central Europe is very interesting for expats. I believe that because what I said, and Ostrava, which I was maybe surprised. A lot of foreigners say that they like its calmness, that it's quite not so small and not so big, because not everybody, which was I was surprised, because I could live on the Times Square, you know, and I would really love it, the anonymity of the big city. But people who come from this bigger city quite enjoy this village type of living. There is not so crowded, everything is close and so on. So this is what I heard very often, that expats like the most, and the closeness of the mountains, because that's not usually typically in Czech Republic. Maybe only Liberec has quite mountains from the big cities, but the Beskidy and Seníky mountains, everybody would like to go there during the weekends.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ondro, and thank you so much, Tony. Because the time is pressing, unfortunately. So I will ask you a quick pick rubric. Funny fact: the quick pick rubric has only 5 questions, but we have 6 hosts. So you know, I had to come up with something really fast. But I will ask you, Ondro. I modified the cultural roots question to family traditions. What family traditions do you guys have?
Okay. I'm not a very traditional person, but because I come from the village, which means I lived there for the first 2 months of my life, and I come to the village quite often to my grandparents. So we very often, each year we pick up the plums and make the slivovic, which is Czech tradition. And the second one is maybe that we used to have very often the pig slaughter fests.
Zabíjačka,
Yeah,
sure.
Zabíjačka, which was really great, and I love it as I was a kid.
Amazing. Now the made-up question for Tony. What's a hidden benefit of living in Ostrava that expats don't realize?
There are many perspectives.
And maybe it has been said by Andre, right?
Yes, but one thing that Andre didn't mention is, in my point of view, the cost of living. So the cost of living are very nice comparing to other big cities in the Czech Republic. And the one thing that Ondra didn't mention, for me personally, is the infrastructure for the bikes. So cycling paths that you can go by bike to the Poland straight away through the cyclo pavement. So I think that's one.
Amazing. I'm really happy for this duo choice, because you guys are like complementing each other. So that's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me for this New Year special. And thank you guys for being with Ostrava Expat Center during its 5 years journey. And I wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I'll see you in the season 2 of Expat episodes where new stories begin. See you and take care. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Ostrava Expat Center with the media partnership from magazine Patrio.